is there a way an entrepreneur can determine what funding options to consider? When you're going through, I keep going back because I feel like a lot of businesses are struggling financially, but they don't know. Because, I was, some time ago, I think I just Googled, like, how many businesses survive first 5 years and all that, and I was seeing the statistics, and I was just like, and it looks like, because, when you go on social media, it looks like everybody is just, every business is doing well. So it tells me that a lot of businesses are actually struggling.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's very important to know where to turn to for money when you're struggling. So how would you say an entrepreneur can determine where to get money from when struggling financially, or even when you're not struggling financially? How do you know where to turn?
Yeah, so what I laugh is it still boils down to, okay, why are you even struggling? Okay, let's say you finally determine your why, you've determined your what. So let's say we are going to the where. So there are your traditional banks actually are getting into that space where they are supporting lots of SMEs. Most banks now have an SME arm, where they realize, okay, you're still coming up more or less, and then you need some help. SMEs, the banks have SME platform. I think Access Bank is actually known to be like a very proud supporter of SME. So I guess doing a bit of research, going there, telling them you need this and all, but almost all of them do have that. Your traditional banks, your microfinance banks actually are set up for helping SMEs. That's why they are set up. The micro part, like, okay, yeah, you don't need to bring this entire thing. We are there to support you. So people usually don't walk into those places. But then there are government grants as well. But the fact is that it's not as easy to access because there are lots of, there are lots of people trying to get from that point, but there are government grants. There are grants from international bodies and all of that. So knowing where to turn to, know which one is easily accessible, all of those things require a bit of research, but there are funding options.
Because I feel like the reason why most entrepreneurs don't go to financial institutions in Nigeria might be because of the cost of getting that money. But when I say the cost, like the interest rate, yes.
Yeah, but that affects everybody, SMEs, non SME, all of that. So that's usually a CBN issue, and so the economy just affects everyone, is what I would say. It's more about really determining that if I get this money plus this interest, what can I make from it? So loans generally, whether it's traditional microfinance, your pay later apps, all of that. Those things really, it doesn't really matter where, if you know what you do with the money and how it's going to make money for you. So a lot of people take money for operational purposes, and it makes sense, but can be disastrous. Okay. So you take a loan to pay salary. That money is not making money for you. You still need to do something to make the money to pay back. But if you are taking that loan and you are using it for marketing, for instance, or for investing in an asset that would generate money for you, or marketing, something that will boost sales, then you know that money you are taking is going to make the money that you are going to use to repay that, and they probably pay the salaries and all. And I know it's very, very difficult for small businesses. The operational cost still has to happen, but most people just take that money, use it for operations, and then still find out that, okay,
they still need more
money. Exactly. And it's like just a never-ending cycle. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody's always talking about how difficult it is to run a business in Nigeria. The list is endless. Government policies, lack of funds. But, it can't be all bad. There must be that, I thought of it like there are definitely advantages to running a business in Nigeria, or being an entrepreneur in Nigeria. So
So a lot of people say, yeah, their downsides are always hard in Nigeria, but they've never really been anywhere else. And I can say it's not like it's even easier anywhere else like that. I've lived outside the country as well, and I know it's not easy to run a business anywhere in the world. So, but what the most significant advantage we have in Nigeria is literally anyone can do it. Like, we have so many freedoms here. I'll put that. So, for instance, if you're a small business, really small business, and you want to set up a kiosk, and you can just make a kiosk and put it at the side of the road. If that's even if you want to put a kiosk, you can just decide you want to be a hawker and just get on the road and all of that. So, getting started is not as regulated as it is in all of that. You won't see people like maybe in advance going running the streets selling things or kiosk anywhere without a permit and all that. People just set up things without permits here and all of that. People literally start businesses not even understanding that they require maybe a tax clearance certificate or a bank account because maybe they're a cash collecting business. So those things are advantages.
People just park their cars on the road and open their booths and just sell.
And sell. So if people say, like, I know that for a fact. I mean, compared to places I've lived, like, you can't do that in some other places. So even in Nigeria, if eventually somebody comes and says, have you paid this? Have you paid that? Sometimes you might have actually made some money before they even find and say, okay, wait, where is your business certificate? Or where is it? In fact, for true story in Nigeria, so some businesses have been operating for 4, 5, 6 years, no CAC documents. And then all of a sudden they require maybe they're about to be one big contract or somebody and just say, so give me your registration documents. And they just start running around. They'll give you a financial statement. So like you really can't do that. So those things, maybe they are good in their own way. Just so those advantages, you get that, and we have freedoms here. As the people underestimate how much freedom we have in this country, or let's just say in this part of we have freedoms to really do whatever we want to do. Then you will find that it's not a small business, but let me use Uber as an example. Uber came in, was killing. Then everybody was like, what? Taxify. People just started having ride hailing and blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden the government just woke up and said, we need to regulate these guys. Yeah, you pay 25 million per year and all of that. But can you imagine how far they've gone? And those are people that are visible. Most SMEs are not even visible. You don't even know who they are.
Nobody has your time.
Exactly. Yeah, no. So those kind of things, at least you can actually just get away with things and all. So it's not all bad. And most of the things that affect small business owners actually also affect the big businesses to government policy. I mean, I guess you just feel it differently, but they affect everything from top to bottom.
But with small businesses now, like you can't be comparing the small business to.
So I'll put it like this: small businesses, small problems; big businesses, big problems. And the analogy I like to use is that if you're driving a small car and you want to turn, like if you're going in the wrong direction, you want to turn, it's easy to turn. But if you're driving like a truck or a trailer and you realize you're going in the wrong direction, to turn is hard. So small businesses have that flexibility to be like, this is not working, jump into this, because they're not carrying much load. But big businesses have to be like so many things to think about. You are working in this department. How do we move this here? How do we move that here? No. So it's not all bad, and like small businesses have a lot of advantages too. So it's two sides of a coin.
Can you share affordable and effective ways to, like, if you want a working structure for like your bookkeeping within your business? As a small business, where can you start? How can you set up a structure that actually works? And how can you determine, the structure that is best suited to your business, that best works for your business?
Okay, so that goes back. So there was a why, but before that why, there's another why. And I actually even ties to what I was saying last. Most people start businesses without a business plan. There's no plan for how most people just hear some people are making money. They want to make money too. So there's no business plan at all. So once you have a plan of how your business is going to run, where I'm going to make money, how I'm going to sell, all of those things, it then determines what kind of structure you put in place, because you are planning a structure. So bookkeeping is what I would call a fallout of all of that. It's not like the major thing itself, but it's how you operate. And then bookkeeping is, okay, what records will I get from it? So bookkeeping is, in accounting we have debit, credit, but it's really not that. It's really more about all the information about your business, how you keep in the books. It might turn into a debit and credit at the end of the day, but it's all about having that plan, then the structure. I know. But if I would then go right back and bring that back to your question, it then means that one of the first things I would tell business owners to do is to outsource it. Outsource your bookkeeping. There are millions is too much, but there are lots of apps that tell you that you can do bookkeeping without consulting someone. And obviously you're looking at, if I hire someone, I will pay. I don't have money and I'll do it by myself. But if you don't really understand how your business operates, you would get it wrong. So if you understand your business operates, you're not ready to hire someone, then doing the bookkeeping becomes easier, because all you're just doing is keeping records of your business. How many sales did I make today? How many deliveries did I pay for? What am I paying for every month? Was something called fixed cost. What am I paying for every month? I'm paying power every month. I'm paying diesel probably every week. You put that information in buckets, in perspective, and then that would help. So you can use technology to help. There are millions of apps, literally millions of apps, some that are not even financially related, that can help you keep the record. But those things are just tools. The mindset of really understanding what the structure of your business is, what information you will need, and how you keep it is actually much more important. So
is it safe to say that the first thing to do would be, you need information first on what's going on in your business? Exactly. It's like, because it comes to me like, it's like journaling. Yeah. I don't know if to put it that way, but it's like you're journaling like literally everything that goes on in your business, so yes, you can then determine, okay, this is what is happening.
Yeah.
Where, because I know that while we're talking earlier, you actually mentioned something about having a financial strategy. I hope I got that right. Yes. So I think the way it comes to me right now is that the first thing to do is you need to know exactly what is going on before you can then determine where to go, what to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was funny. It was good I used the word journaling. In accounting, we use the word journals and ledgers. So those journals are literally what exactly. So it's like you're journaling every single thing that is happening in your business. So why I say outsource is that, remember that you are doing a business of baking cakes, as an example. Okay. You are still the chief marketing officer. You are the chief sales officer. You are the chief internal auditor of your company. All of a sudden, you're also the chief bookkeeper. You are doing all those things by running your business. So it's just safe to be like, you know what, I can't handle all these things. If bookkeeping is what you know how to do, maybe you studied accounting, you have some interest in it and all of that, just continue doing it. But if it's something that you feel like, okay, I'm going to have to kind of learn too many things and all of that, then it becomes daunting, and then just don't do anything. So a big part of outsourcing that people also get wrong or feel the type of way about is, if you really know what's going on in your business, if you really know your business, and you give, they say sometimes accountants make mistakes, they don't understand what we do, but you understand what you do. So if you know, on the average, you just know, because you are present in your business, that you sold 10 things in a day, and your accountant comes and says you sold 20. Instantly, something will trigger your head and be like, what 20? Where from? Then you ask questions from the guy that you've outsourced to. How 20? Show me. And then if the person can say, yeah, 20, maybe then you're not like, okay, maybe I was missing something. Or then it's just clear that the guy was wrong, and then all of those things. around it.
So what you just said now, just remember, because I was in an accounting class like a while ago. And when the woman just started, I was just like, okay, the information was so much, like it was overwhelming. Like, I just want to run a business.
Just want to run a
like,
business.
I'm not trying to become an accountant.
Exactly.
You know, but she said something towards the end of the class that actually made a lot of sense, which is something you just said now. She said, see, the whole idea is not, you are not supposed to become an accountant, but you're supposed to have an idea. So if you're working with an accountant, you should be able to tell, understand what that person is telling to you and have a conversation, from a place of understanding.
Yes.
Because, I feel like for most small businesses, they just feel like it's expensive to bring somebody in to help them look at their accounts if you do the math. But like you said, if you actually know exactly what is, you just might have to sacrifice something that is not as important as actually getting your records in place.
In place, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right.
Okay. So at what point would you say, I started a small business. I can't immediately hire an accountant. So at what point would you say I should get an accountant or someone to...
I guess you can immediately hire an accountant depending on the numbers or what you're doing. So it still boils down to what the business plan is. So some people, when they have the plan, once you drop a business plan, you can't even go and get a loan from a financial, they will ask for the plan. Although now making business plans is now a business. Like people just go and hire people to do business plans and they literally have no intention of following up on the plan. But if you're serious about your business and then you have a plan, you can plan for an accountant like from day one. You can plan for an accountant from day one. You can plan that, okay, you know what, I'm not really going to make any money for the first 6 months, but then my activities are not so much, so I really don't need an accountant. So the plan just gives you an idea of where you can say, this is my triggering points. At the end of the day, everybody's selling something, who's making money from something. So it could be, a trigger could be, after I make my first 20 sales, or when I get to maybe I'm making 20 sales a month, or 200 sales a month, 2,000 sales a month, then I know that it's already becoming overwhelming. So once it's 20, you on your own can still manage. You can still manage keeping that. If you're not paying too many suppliers, 1 or 2 suppliers, it's not even really about counting at that point. You just know who you're buying from, what you're selling. But as it starts to grow, where I'm buying from this, I'm buying from this, I'm buying from that, I'm buying from this, I'm selling to a whole lot of this and all of that can then trigger, I need to get someone. And I know some of it likes to feel a bit abstract, but usually once you just have a business plan and that kind of like anticipates things like this, then it actually makes more sense by time, because you've already visualized it. And even outside of accounting, once you visualize something, once you start to see it, like it becomes familiar. Exactly. Then you just like, okay, at this point I need to get one.